for the Bills, and what does this new guy bring?
You know, we had to go back and watch him in preseason. You know, we studied him coming out of college. We knew he was a good quarterback. I was a little surprised, but I'm not going to stop preparing for Tyrod, because if he suits up, you got to be ready for him.
How's Peterman different than Tyrod?
You know, what Tyrod is, he's more mobile. You know, he can do more things in the pocket as far as escaping and things like that. But Tyrod throws a great deep ball. I mean, Peterman, I guess I haven't seen him play. You know, since preseason, I don't know. You know.
When an opposing team changes a quarterback, is that the most significant thing that might throw you into a tizzy in terms of your preparation?
It can, because now you don't know if they're going to use both quarterbacks or if they're just going to go with the one guy. You just don't know, so you kind of have to still prepare for both. So it definitely puts more on your plate.
Coach, I know it was a while ago, but do you remember scouting Peterman for the draft earlier this year?
Yeah.
What stood out to you about him?
You know, what stood out to me was his accuracy, you know, his ability to stand in the pocket, throw the ball accurate, anticipation.
Coach, you guys did a good job against Leonard Fournette last weekend. This weekend you get LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah.
Are you guys preparing the same way you did for
You have to. You know, in previous weeks with those runners we've had, those guys are powerful guys, so we had to get Hats to the ball. This guy, you have to get Hats to the ball because he's so elusive. You know, this guy can make you miss in a telephone booth.
Coach, can you talk about Austin Eckler? I know he had the fumble, but he had 2 big touchdowns that kind of kept you guys in the game. Can you talk about just his mentality moving forward coming into this week?
Well, he's been a consistent playmaker for us, you know, in his role, and we're very pleased with that. And on special teams, you know, he's done a good job there as well.
Philip is a guy who will probably try to play through just about anything. That's his personality. Is this a situation because it is a concussion, because it is a brain injury, that you guys have to try to save him from himself a little bit, or is it something that you just let the doctors handle that and you don't worry about it?
You know, I just let the doctors handle that, and Philip will be brutally honest with us. I told him, be honest about this injury, and he has been so far, and that's all you can go by.
7 games remaining. Is the feeling that you have to win every one of them?
Well, that was the feeling from week 1. But yes, we do need to win. You know, we need to win this week for sure.
Hey, Coach,
This team is 2 games ahead of us. I think if the playoffs started tomorrow, this team would be the last seed in the playoffs. So we need to get this game.
Hey, Coach, earlier this year you said it's not the same old Chargers. After so many close losses this year, where the same things keep happening, losing in crazy zany ways, what's your frustration level?
My frustration level from last week was we didn't finish the game because we didn't make good decisions. You know, coaching staff to the players on, it's my job to teach these guys how to finish games and to make better decisions when the game is on the line. And that's about it for last week.
Simple as that? Changing that?
Yeah.
Change the results?
Yes.
That change the results in your opinion?
It would have changed it last week for sure.
Does Austin's fumble, I mean, up until that point, he played probably his best game as a pro and
Right.
was moving the ball on the ground and stuff. Does that fumble slow you down in kind of putting him in on the field more?
No, not at all. You know, I don't ever penalize a back for fumbling the football because it's going to happen. It happens to the great ones. And so hopefully you learn from it in those situations, that they're trying to go after the ball. And the most important thing for us is to hold on to the ball. It's a tough lesson for him to learn, but we got to move on, and he's a big part of our offense, and we're going to use him.
Is it fair to say that if Melvin continues to struggle to be productive, that we'll see more and more of Austin?
Well, you know, there was a lot of things that contributed to Melvin's lack of production last week. It wasn't just Melvin, but Melvin's our starter. We believe in him, and Austin will still play his role.
Coach, as a running back yourself, how quickly did you realize or learn to get over that so quickly? Was it harder as a young player to realize you had the mistake with that in the past? And what was the process of really realizing it with in the past and really when you're back out there?
Well, ideally, you like to put him in the very next series, you know, and you hope you had a lot more game left. We could go back in and play, but now he's got to think about it until you get his next touch, and so that's really not fair. But hey, that's the position he put himself in. But he'll get over it. He's a strong-minded young man.
Anthony, are you going to roll with the same starting 5 in terms of your offense, starting 5 up front?
Up front, as of right now, yes. Schofield, he'll start the right tackle, and we'll give Barksdale a little more time to recover.
How about on the interior with those 3 guys?
Those 3 guys are set. Yeah.
How pleased were you with Denzel Perryman and the workload and what he showed you coming back?
Very pleased with him. For a guy that's been on the bench for 9 weeks to come in and play over 40 snaps, have the production that he had, it was good.
If all your linebackers are healthy, is there a rotation that you have in mind, or is that something you're still kind of tinkering with?
Well, yeah, we do have a rotation. I mean, if they're all healthy, just Denzel and JB or Toomer played really well last week. So he's in the rotation as well, but I think those two will start, JB and Denzel, inside.
And what's the most important thing you think your team needs to do to get the win?
Take care of the football. This game here is all about the ball. Jacksonville is, not Jacksonville, but Buffalo is, the games they've won the turnover battle. And I think they've allowed no turnovers, on very few on offense. And I think on defense, they're number 2 in the league in causing turnovers. They're number 3 in interceptions. They've caused 16 contact fumbles. For them, it's been taking the ball away. And so if we take care of the football and we take some turnovers from them, I like our chances.
You know this team pretty well, having been around a lot of the guys. So what are you telling your guys this week especially that they need to do to get to them?
Well, get to who? Tyrod? Or in general?
Yeah.
Well, we just got to do what we've been doing. We teach it every day, turnovers in practice. And our defense has been doing a really good job of creating some turnovers, tip balls, and things like that.
Is that, you kind of just said, get to who. Is that sort of the challenge right now? Is you two guys that do this very differently?
No doubt. And they made a decision to bench Tyrod. So, if they go with the other guy, I'm pretty sure they're doing the best thing for their team. But we're still looking at it like if he suit up, we have to be ready for him, because if he come in the second half, if the other guy struggles, he come in, we got to be ready, because he can present a lot of problems for the defense.
Do you think it hurts a team locker room chemistry switching quarterbacks halfway through the season, especially because Tyrod is liked so well with the Buffalo Bills?
I don't know if it hurts the locker room or not. I could care less, to be honest with you.
The possibility of Phillip even missing a game has been unheard of. He never misses. This is kind of the first time he's been kind of on the brink of that. Of all his great accomplishments, you've been around it many years. How amazing is it that a quarterback can go that long and never really be faced with even the possibility of this?
It just speaks to his durability and how well he takes care of himself on and off the field. That's the only way you can do that in this league.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Things that could have been big plays for us that we just didn't quite execute. And, to be honest with you, that's a pretty good football team, and there were some things that we did really well. But, just having a chance in those kind of games, especially late in the game, if you think back to the Oakland game, think back maybe to the Giant game, we made some of those plays that allowed us to get down the field and score. And, it was tough. We had some chances, and obviously you can't turn the ball over in that late in the game. But that was it more than anything. Guys played hard, and it was, we won some and we lost some, which you expect to see happen when you go against a good football team.
Rivers talked afterwards about, passing in or throwing it and forming an offense and ultimately getting first down so you can solve the game away. How do you look at that, and what is the best thing that you can do as a team in that situation to get first down?
Well, I think Coach Lynn has got a method that he uses. He talks to. He has a guy that's dedicated to doing that, and they interact. So and that's shared with us. So it's listen, in those kind of situations, what you do, if you win, you're right. If you don't, you're not right. But there is a lot of thought that's put into it, a lot of discussion that's put into it. Sometimes it's based on field position. Sometimes it's the way the game's going. If once again I go back to, if we don't fumble, we're most likely not having this discussion. So that's the one thing that you can't do. You can't turn it over in that situation. You know this, Eric, if you think back to last year against New Orleans. We're in that situation and we turned it over twice. and that time he ended up losing the game, and that's hard. So that's the biggest thing. Whether you throw it or not, or you do that, that's all a matter. I think that's all a function of what your philosophy is and kind of the way the game's gone.
Do you want Melvin to develop into that guy, though, that you can just hand it to him in a 4-minute offense and he can close out the game for you? Is that?
Well, I mean, it's not just Melvin, Right. I mean, if Melvin could beat 11 guys by himself, well, I'd just give it to him every time, and that'd be easy. But, he had, let's not forget, Tennessee last year. There have been times when we have been able to do it, and that's something that you always strive to do. A lot of times when you're going against a team, let's say like the Jacksonville Jaguars that are very good up front, it's not always as easy to do that. So, you try to work and strive to do that, and, hopefully we're improving. We have been able to do that this year, and, unfortunately we weren't in that game, but we're working hard to try to be that team that can do that.
Coach, the announcer changed to Peterman this week, but I know it was a few months ago, but what do you remember stood out when you were scouting him and looking at him in the draft process about Nathan Peterman?
Well, he was very productive at Pittsburgh, and, he made some plays in big games. So I don't, to be honest with you, you're so wrapped up in what you're doing, I couldn't tell you how he's played or what he's done since he's been there. He's one of the guys that you evaluated and enjoyed the time that we spent with him, and, I liked him.
There's been some games this year where Hunter Henry seems to disappear a bit. As you go through film, can you sort of pinpoint the reasons, and how do you rectify that? Because it seems like when he is involved, good things happen.
It's funny because I guess somebody said something to me about targets. Well, there was 4 plays in the game that were designed to go to him. That we had we had a holding call on one that was supposed to go to him, and Phillip couldn't get it to him. He was wide open. There was another one where he almost caught it on the boundary, but we had to get out of the pocket because we got beat inside on a move, and Phillip scrambled to the right and just missed him. If he'd have been able to stay in the pocket, he would have hit him for a big gain there. So, what you don't see is you don't see those plays where they are supposed to go to him, and for whatever reason we don't get them. So don't think that we're not trying to get Hunter the ball. But, it's a little bit like what Eric said. If I could just give it to Melvin and he could beat 11 guys, that'd be great. But, we put in plays that are designed to go to Hunter. But in this league, you've got to be a read progression offense. So sometimes they take that away. There's games where it does go to him, but obviously he's a very good football player, and we want to try to get him the ball.
Have you talked to him about maybe some frustrations that are mounting at all in his mind?
I've talked to him. I haven't gotten the sense of that.
Anthony said he sees Melvin more as an eye back rather than a back that naturally runs out of the shotgun. Has that been a learning process for Melvin over the last few years?
Well, you know what? I think that this year's been a little bit different just from the standpoint of where Melvin was after the off-season rehab and getting back to playing again. But, Anthony has been very good at what he's done with running backs, and, his opinion on that is probably very good. It's got a lot of credibility backing it up. So, but regardless of that, I think Melvin is a good young back that, we're very excited to have him.
Do you feel like this offense is struggling to find a rhythm, or do you feel like it's execution, like the drop balls and things like that?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a double-edged question. If we had better execution, I think we would find a rhythm. I think there's times where we've gotten into a little bit of a rhythm, like at the end of the first half and our first possession of the second half, we both went down the field and scored. It was more like what we were last year. But, I think that we have made some mistakes in situations. We haven't been very good on third down, and that's frustrating because we've been a team that's been a good third down team. And those are the type of things that can help you get into a rhythm. Some of it's our fault because of mistakes and penalties that put us in third and long, and it's hard to be successful. But with those type situations. But, we're working, trying every week to get better and kind of get into that groove that we feel like we're close to. There have been times where we felt like we're in it. We just haven't sustained it.
Melvin beat himself up pretty good his first year, when he wasn't having the production he wanted. Do you get that sense from him right now that he's kind of in a mindset of wanting to do more?
Well, I always feel like Melvin's ready to go. And he's had some games this year where he's been, the Giant game, he was pretty good. He had the long run against the Patriots. And, some of it's just the way the games have gone for us. And but, Melvin is very good. He works hard on his preparation, and he's a very competitive young man.
Coach Lynn seems fairly confident that Phil's going to play this week, but knowing that there's a chance that he won't, and Kellen might have to play after not playing a whole lot for 3.5 years, do you do anything differently as a coach? Do you game plan differently? Do you plan different tactics?
Well, Kellen's very involved with the game planning part of it, and just because of the interaction with Philip as far as how they prepare, and he's been in this system for a number of years, so he's comfortable with it. I think that there's certainly things that Kellen that he's comfortable with, and if that's the case, those are the areas that you go with. You don't want to try to make him do too much. Maybe you have you have it a little bit cut down. But from all the guys I've been around, especially in that type of role, Kellen's one of the sharpest as far as understanding what you need done and communicating that to the players. So executing it in a game, that's something that he hasn't done a lot of in the last couple of years. But if he's a pro, and if that's the case, then I'm sure he'll be prepared.
How confident do you feel if Kellen does have to plan Sunday with how he'll run the offense?
Confidence? Yeah, I feel good about Kellen. I think anytime you can have the interaction that you have with him, and you see him, he gets a lot of reps in practice, and he certainly knows the offense. He can talk about the checks or what he's seeing defensively. Now, we can always do that when we're not in there under the center, but he has a good basis, and you expect him to have success when he goes in.
Hey, Ken, you mentioned the fumbles from a few years ago. It cost you the Saints game, I think, and then fumbled this week. Missed field goal, missed snaps over the last few years. I know you haven't been here for all these crazy losses, but you have a lot of experience in the game. Have you ever seen a team that has kind of been so snake-bit and lost in so many different ways at the end, and how frustrating is that?
Well, just like anything, whenever you lose a game, especially like that, it's hard. It's very hard. It's hard to win games in the NFL, and when you get into a position where you think you can, especially on the road, and you don't, it's tough. And there have been a number of those since I've been here. But I will say this, in my experience in the league, when you have a team that is close, and in as many games as we've been close, and I know it's not great the way some of those losses have gone, those are the teams that can get on a roll. Those are the teams that can have success. I remember many times during the year where we're on a team that finishes up, close to 500, but they're in every game. And then all of a sudden the next year it flips. And I'm not talking about next year. I'm just saying at times it can happen. If I look back to 13, we had a lot of close games. I remember the game in Washington where we had a chance to win it and we didn't. The whole thing with Danny going over the pylon and then not running the ball down there on the goal line and all that. And it was pretty tough there a couple of games. It was the Miami game in there. And then all of a sudden, we were close, and we got on a roll, and we got into the playoffs. So, to me, that's one of the things that's indicative of a team that's close in every game, that you get a couple of breaks, and all of a sudden it can turn. So is it frustrating? Yes, it's frustrating for our fans. It's frustrating for us. But there is a lot to be said for the fact that this team has a lot of heart and is in every game. If you look at, let's just say Jacksonville, that there have been a lot of teams that they've blown out, and they're a tough team. And we had a chance to win that game in Jacksonville, So there's a lot to be said for the character and the work of this team, and we just got to find a way to make one more play in a game that'll get us a win, and then build off of that. Winning 3 in a row in this league is hard, and we did that, so there are some good signs, I think. Okay.